Post-revolution culture in Iran. Today we will talk about the arts and humanities of Iran, the sports and games of Iran, Islamic art, architecture and literature, the food, Iranian music, and the cinema and performance arts. Iranians have one of the most richest and intricate artistic traditions in the world, and many Islamic leaders disapprove of many forms of artistic expression. This makes the role of the arts in Iran very complex. Moral censorship of practically every form of artistic expression has led to the Iranians coming up with new and creative ways to express themselves artistically despite the restrictions. The two Iranian prohibitions that affect the arts the most in the most direct way is the prohibition against music and the prohibition against depicting God in art. The fact that Islam images bans images are false because the Quran has little to say on the subject and the traditions of the Prophet are open to interpretation. Muslims also believe that their God is unique, without associate, and worship directly, without intercessors, so he cannot be represented with a false idol. Unlike Christian or Buddhist art, images of gods have no place here. The Quran is also not a narrative, so it makes no sense to tell stories through pictures, as it is supposed to be left up to interpretation. The prohibition against music exists because the Prophet Muhammad disapproved of the music. He believed it transported people or listeners to another mental sphere and distracted them from the world that was created by God, which should be their main focus. Many religious leaders created the prohibition against the depiction of God in art because they believed it could be considered worshiping an idol, or it could be considered as creating an alternate universe to rival God's universe. Early Muslims even considered poetry to be suspect because it was thought to be inspired by jinn, an intelligent spirit of lower rank than the angels in Islamic mythology and theology. Shogun. The sport originated in Central Asia by nomads who lived and traveled on horses, as well as journeyed through the Far East and Caspian Sea. The game is called Shogun while being known as modern-day polo across the world. This sport has been preserved through Persian miniatures paintings and in poetic works such as the Shahnameh by Ferdowsi, which gives a very vivid description of the royal game. The game fell out of popularity after the revolution because of the association with aristocracy. People in Iran nowadays find the game an expensive indulgence with an expensive investment on the equipment. Takht-i-Nard, most commonly known as backgammon, the game's name means battle on wood in Iran. This game originated in Mesopotamia. In those and earlier times, the game was played on wooden boards and tables with flat stones and numbered dice crafted from wood, stone, pottery, and bone. The game fell out of popularity after the revolution. The game does seem to be popular with the modern-day generation, and it is even more popular in countries in the Far East. The oldest backgammon game was found with 60 pieces in southern eastern Iran, which helps to claim that it originated in Persia. Shatranj. This game is the Iranian version of chess, but the origin is much disputed. However, the earliest game was recorded in Persian writing, with the earliest pieces being found in Iran. It is said that the game originated in Persia and spread to other countries. The game is known to be intellectually stimulating and still remains popular. Kushti. This is a popular pastime that is referred to the national sport of Iran and exists in a variety of folk styles. Some of the most popular forms include Zerkane and Varsish-e Palabane. Many talented wrestlers come from regions like Kermanshah, Hamadan, and Khorasan. Iran is considered an elite nation in the sport. Kung Fu Toa is a style of martial arts that originated in Iran in the 1950s but fell out of favor after the Iranian Revolution. However, in most recent times, there has been a favor of the martial arts such as Taekwondo, Wushu, Kyokushin, Shotokan, and etc. It can be found all over Iran. Skiing is a very popular sport in Iran because there is an abundance of mountainous regions. Iran is home to 13 ski resorts, with one being in Tokal that operates 7 months a year, Dizin and Shemashak being the best known. Carpet making is one of Iran's most important export items after oil. The reason they are such in high demand is because they are hand knotted and take a long time to complete. Some of the finest rugs take years to complete, and the designs are drawn from traditional motifs, but they are also elaborated on by traditional weavers. Each region in Iran has a different traditional design, which means every carpet in each region has a distinct and unique charm. Carpets are also seen as investments because the older they become, the higher their price goes up. Islamic religious art focuses more on glorifying God's word by writing it in a beautiful way and even accompany it by the script with geometrical and floral patterns called arabesques. These pictures show that plants grow according to the laws of geometry to make these shapes. Some people also believe that the pictures have a deep spiritual meaning, while others believe that they are just pictures. One of the hallmarks of Islamic art is that people are free to see what meanings they want in the pictures. Iranian secular art may or may not have representations of living beings because there is because the cultural traditions and preferences of the specific artist. Otherwise, Muslims enjoy these images. A lot of secular art is designed with geometric patterns and inscriptions, but they have human and animal figures set in the scenes. This specific form of art can be found on glazed ceramics, intricate woven silks, and luxurious carpets. Islamic secular art is distinguished by the art transforming everyday objects like bowls or cushions into things of beauty, unlike Christian art, which is made directly for the use of the church. The Quran has always been a favorite form of art because of the fascination with God's word. Islamic artists transcribe the Quran as well as decorate the pages, and they prepare manuscripts of lyrical poetry, history, geography, with beautiful calligraphy and miniatures. Architecture has been very popular at all times and places of the Islamic lands as it provides places of communal worship, social service, and safety residence. The most important type of religious architecture are the congregational mosques, where the Muslim community gathers on Friday at noon for weekly worship. Some of the most famous examples include the mosque in Damascus and the Great Mosque of which is now a cathedral of Cordoba. Muslims also commissioned on great palaces like the Topkapi in Istanbul. These buildings were built with local materials that suited the climate and geography. For example, builders in the Mediterranean favor post and beam structures built of stone decorated with mosaics, while builders in Iran favor arched and vaulted structures of brick decorated with plaster. Many techniques and artistic ideas have been interchanged because of the easy movement of Islamic artists. Muslims everywhere appreciate exuberant and colorful decoration, so the use of color and tiles is one of the hallmarks of Islamic architecture. Literature is one of the most valued arts of the Muslims. Adab is a literal art that was fostered by medieval Muslims, which implies the sum of intellectual knowledge that makes a man courteous and suave. In pre-Islamic poetry, the art of oratory and the historical and tribal tradition of the ancient Arabs, as well as the corresponding sciences of rhetoric, grammar, lexicography, and the metrics, Arab literature included long compilations of poetry, works for instructions, and manuals for princes, meant to entertain sophisticated audiences, according to PBS.org. Literature at a more popular level was more broad, and it ranges from the legends of pre-Islamic poets to the stories in A Thousand and One Night. In addition to this, Muslims adopted a thousand-year tradition of classical Persian poetry, which ranges from short quatrains to long epics. Also, with the spread of Islam to other countries, there has been a growth in literature in other languages, even in Swahili. Many Iranian poets are known for some of the most beautiful and moving poetry of all time. Some of the most famous poets include Ferdowsi, Hafiz, and Saadi. Many of these poetries are an important and intimate part of every Iranian's life. There are many modern poets that write in a non-metric style that is appreciated equally. Iran as a nation has developed a small group of people that is filled with distinguishable novelists, essayists, and exponents of belletrism, both male and female inclusive.